When Esa-Pekka leaves the Los Angeles Philharmonic to spend more time composing, he will also become the principal conductor of the London Philharmonia, where he got his first big break. When Esa-Pekka's new piano concerto premiered at the New York Philharmonic, it got a rave review. The second performance was at Royal Albert Hall. He dedicated the piece to the pianist, Ephraim Brofman. When we caught up with Esa-Pekka in Shepherd's Bush, he seemed right at home.
Well, I thought that as he's going to be the soloist and he's the fabulous pianist he is, I thought I would give him something to do. Didn't want to insult him by writing an easy piano concerto.
It was a challenge. It is a challenge still. We have had a premiere in February, and I must say it's not any easier today.
My idea in the first movement especially was that the piano would keep kind of zooming in and out of the texture. Sometimes it would be submerged in the orchestra.
I struggle through the mass of the sound that the orchestra produces to force the personality of the piece.
And then there would be moments when the piano is absolutely on top of the orchestra, and sometimes it even plays alone. So you have all the kind of different relations between the orchestra and the piano.
For a while, people can only see me play, but not here. But then eventually it grows, and the orchestra diminishes, and then something magic happens.
But of course, in the first time round when we played this, there were some balance problems also which were not intentional. After these concerts, the balance is more or less the way I was imagining. And now, wherever the piano has a struggle against the orchestra, it's intentional, not an accident.
And it maybe is the best piece that you wrote. At least I feel that it is, and I think it had a great success and it deserved it.
The BBC Proms is a tradition that generates a huge audience. The concerts, which go on nightly for around 7 weeks in summer, are heard by people around the world. 1 million listeners a week tune into the radio broadcasts alone.
The Albert Hall is a very special place to play classical music because, first of all, it's huge and the shape of it is very unusual. And the sound kind of disperses in a way which is not typical of a concert hall. And it has its problems, but also it does have this kind of three-dimensional quality to the sound that is quite nice. And of course the atmosphere in the Albert Hall is very special.
Promers wait in line for the £5 tickets. They stand in front of the orchestra during the concert. It's a tradition that goes back 100 years.
I've been coming to the Proms. I first came in 1957, and I know quite well how early you have to get here if you want to be on the front row on the rail. It's much more exciting on the rail. And because I've got ticket number 1, I'll be right in the centre of the front rail.
Some years ago I read an article about these promers, and there was one guy whose name I forgot, but he was called the Dirty Bob or Dirty something. During the prom season he was too busy to even take a shower. There he was every night cheering. So this is dedication. That's a music lover.
Welcome to the BBC Proms at the Royal Albert. Every prom is live on BBC 3
Esa-Pekka's enthusiasm for music is catching. He says it taps into our deepest feelings that go back to when music and language were the same thing. A biological phenomenon whose function is to join us to part of the soul.
I don't think anybody hears a kind of a finished, orchestrated piece of music in their minds just like that, because the equation is too complex. It's like what chefs do. So they are up early in the morning buying ingredients, the fresh produce, and then once they have all this stuff, then they go to the kitchen and make a meal out of this. And that's the way I operate as well, that I collect material. When I go to my studio finally, I don't suffer from the panic of the white paper, because I have something already. And I can start preparing the meal.